Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our webinar today. It's 1 o'clock right now, so we're going to give everybody a couple of more minutes to get signed into the webinar, and then we'll be starting. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. Some people are still rolling into the webinar, but we're going to go ahead and get started here so we don't hold you guys up too long. My name is John Frazier. I'm the COO and managing partner of Stone Edge Technologies. We wanted to put this together to go over some of the new stuff that's been happening with Stone Edge. We're going to talk about the new features that we've been working on over the last couple of years, particularly what's in our latest release, which is version 7.7. We're then going to go into a live demo of 7.7 and talk about and actually show you hands-on the new shipping system, which is in there, and show how that will benefit you. And what the advantage is of you upgrading to that. And then a little bit out of order from this agenda slide right here, after that, we're going to go into a little discussion on roadmap and what's on our plate for the near future, what we're currently working on or intend to work on for the next major releases. So like I said, my name is John Frazier. I'm the COO of Stone Edge. One of the owners, Steve Herbert, is with me as well. He's one of our developers. He's been with Stone Edge about as long as I have, from the early 2000s. Knows the software inside and out like the back of his hand. Not presenting today, but also on the call are some other familiar names. We have Eric Doe, Kevin, who's our support supervisor, Mike Foster, and they're here to answer any questions that you might have and moderate the webinar as we're going through it. A quick note on questions. This is the point of this is to show you guys what's going on, what we're working on. You're likely to have questions. As they come up, feel free to use the Q&A panel in Zoom to ask questions. If it's a really good question and we think that other people would benefit from hearing the answer to that, we'll answer that at the end of the webinar. Also understand that there's a good chance that we will answer your question as we go through this. So I encourage you to ask questions, but don't jump the gun too much because we might cover it. So let's talk about what we've been working on and what's new. I've broken down our new features into these major categories. We've done a lot with payment processing and shopping cart integrations and marketplace integrations. We also have a brand new shipping system that we're going to go through. You guys have heard about this. We initially released it last year, actually. It's about a year old already, but it's taken some time, mainly because it was the timing with everybody's Q4 shipping season with the holiday season there. A lot of you guys were reluctant to switch out your shipping system at that time of the year, understandably. So actually, I was just told that I cannot. Here we go. It helps if I share the screen. So let me back up. There's me. There's Steve. We're presenting today. As far as new features, so we have payment processes, shopping carts, shipping that we're going to be going over. We've made enhancements to the user interface, some enhancements to the Enterprise Edition, which runs on SQL Server, and then just a final slide to go over some miscellaneous changes that we've made that didn't really fit into any other category. So we're going to go through these kind of quickly. I don't want to dwell on too much. If there's any what I'm pointing out here are more significant changes, not every little bug fix and tweak here and there or minor feature. In the world of payment processing, we've added new support for NMI, which is a fairly popular payment gateway that's out there. We've added support for Bolt checkout. Bolt is an alternative checkout system, kind of like with how PayPal works. If you're using PayPal as a checkout and not, or PayPal as a payment method, not as a payment gateway. Bolt right now, it works with our MIVA 9 and MIVA 10 integration. Bolt is pretty aggressively going after other shopping carts to integrate their solution with. So if you're using another shopping cart system other than MIVA and have been approached by Bolt or seen them at a trade show and are interested in using their solution, let us know. It wouldn't take much for us to add Bolt support into that specific cart integration, whatever it is you're using. But for now, they're integrated with MIVA 9 and 10 and the MIVA 9 and 10 Stone Edge integration. We've also added support for PayPal reference transactions and Braintree cloning. Now, these two things are basically the same thing. They go hand in hand. It's a different name for the same general functionality. If you guys think back to the early days of PCI compliance or PADSS compliance, people, you used to hear the term tokenization. And basically what New Solutions did was, or payment gateways did, was they introduced a token into the transaction. And with that token, you could look up a transaction or a payment using something other than the credit card, which is sensitive data. And that token was a unique number that was a combination of your merchant ID and the customer's credit card number. So even if that token did get stolen, it couldn't be used through another payment gateway. So what PayPal did, who also owns Braintree, is they said, well, every transaction has a transaction ID. So essentially they're using the transaction ID as a token. And now in Stone Edge, you can create a new transaction for a customer using an existing transaction that's on file. So you can go back to that order from a month ago and create a new transaction, a new charge for that. We also have the screens at manual orders where you can look up that transaction history and select which payment that you want to, which specific card number that you wanted to use to create that new transaction. So PayPal reference transactions, Braintree cloning, they're essentially the same thing. They're both in there. We're looking to add similar stuff with some of the other payment gateways, but right now, PayPal and Braintree, I think, account for somewhere in the ballpark of 80 to 90% of all transactions that go through Stone Edge are going through one of those two gateways. So some of the smaller gateways like Authorize.net, or actually Authorize.net is probably the third one, USA ePay. So some of those, they just don't get a lot of traction these days. So But so we knocked off the low-hanging fruit, which is PayPal and Braintree. PCI mode. So what we did with version 7.1 and 7.5, my predecessors, Monsoon Commerce, in order to obtain PCI compliance, or rather PADSS compliance within StoneEdge, they developed a payment module that was called the Monsoon Payment Module, and that ran in a PADSS compliant way that allowed you to in turn become PCI compliant. The problem is that when we acquired StoneEdge back from Monsoon, the source code for the payment module did not convey. So we have no way of maintaining that payment module and updating it. And what we've seen over the last few years is that there have been some components of that have broken or stopped partially working. So we had to face reality and retackle payment processing all over again. So a lot of you guys who have seen our updates and been paying attention to what's been going on have commented on how strange our versioning has been, our version numbers have been over the last couple of years, because we were at 7.1 and then 7.5, and then we went back and started releasing 7.032 and then 7.05. And the reason why is because we needed to back up to a release before 7.1 and start redeveloping the payment processing so that we could offer the people who had upgraded to 7.1 and 7.5 an upgrade path. And so 7.7, which is the current major release, has an upgrade path for all of you 7.1 and 7.5 users, and that is called PCI mode. Essentially what PCI mode does, what PCI mode does is it removes any sensitive data that you have from your data file. So it will delete the credit card numbers. It'll store the first 6 and last 4 of the card number. You'll get transaction IDs, authorization codes, whatnot, depending on your gateways. And then all that transactional data gets encrypted. If you do enter in a new credit card number to enter a telephone order, or mail order at the main order screen or at the view order screen, that full card number is never stored. It's scrubbed immediately. And then so you're never holding sensitive data. With PayPal reference transactions and Braintree cloning, you now have a fully functional compliant solution. StoneEdge is not PADSS certified, but it is built with PCI mode turned on. It is a PCI DSS compliant solution that will enable you to become PCI compliant. As you know, your software doesn't become PCI compliant. Your software is PADSS compliant. Your company becomes PCI compliant. So that's that. So you guys who are on 7.1 and 7.5, you now have an upgrade path, so everybody can join the party in 7.7. So let's move on. Shopping carts and marketplace support. I'd say most of you, if not all of you, are probably using one or more of our new shopping cart or marketplace integrations. We've rebuilt support for some of the older aging solutions, like the Yahoo Store integration, for example, was on a server that was about 15 years old. It was starting to fail. It was written in a language that was so old we couldn't easily migrate it to a new server if we wanted to. So the best thing to do there was just to rewrite it. We've also added support in the last couple of years for Shopify, a direct integration for eBay, WooCommerce, Miva version 9 and 10. Miva is getting away, for security reasons, they're getting away from having third-party modules and are now forcing all of their partners to redevelop their integrations using APIs. That has been done. BV Commerce, Magento 2, Etsy, and Walmart. These are all new integrations to the StoneEdge. They're all direct integrations. They don't require third-party software. Amazon in particular, we've split out the data feeds for that, so we can now separate out FBA from fulfilled by merchant and seller fulfilled prime orders. In StoneEdge, when you go to the create edit shopping cart screen, when you add that new channel in there, that Amazon store in there, there's a checkbox that you can check to indicate that that's an FBA channel. And when it imports orders, it'll handle that appropriately. So it will not deduct your inventory, but it will bring the order in. It will mark the order as approved and already shipped, and it will make the order available in your accounting history so that you can account for that order, that sale correctly within QuickBooks. So that's all there. The main reason for us rebuilding all the shopping cart integrations, there's a lot of reasons, but the main reasons are that because StoneEdge's desktop software, it's installed software, it cannot by nature handle asynchronous communications with an online web service. So what that means in simple language is while StoneEdge can initiate communication and can request data from a store and post data up to a store, it can't go the other way around. So the store can't post data to software that's on your local PC. So by introducing a cloud service, we can now start tricking out that cloud service to be able to talk to StoneEdge in a way that is more in line with true asynchronous communications, and then we can start introducing more features. The other thing is the maintenance. A lot of you guys, I'll pick on BV Commerce here since that's in the list. BV Commerce was never really a widely used e-commerce platform to begin with, but we wrote an integration to them probably 15 years ago, and a couple of people used it, and it was what it was. And then we had somebody come to us a few years ago who upgraded to the latest version of BV Commerce, and surprise, it broke their integration. By having a web service available, it allows us to make changes in real time without you having to go back and upgrade your old version of StoneEdge that may or may not work. So from a maintenance perspective, it's better. Also from a features and functionality perspective, it allows us to look at a much brighter future as far as what we can do with these shopping cart integrations. And when we start talking about roadmap, we'll dive into some of the stuff that we have planned with these shopping carts and marketplaces more. Shipping system. I'm not going to spend too much time on this right here because we're going to spend a lot more time on shipping later on in this webinar. But 7.7, the two biggest things in it are the PCI mode, which gives the upgrade path for you guys on 7.1 and 7.5, and also more security for those of you who are on older versions of StoneEdge. But we've also completely started from scratch and rebuilt our shipping system from the ground up. Gone are the days where you had 3 different ways to print out a UPS label, and some worked better than others, and some were kind of clunky. There is no third-party software dependencies with the new shipping system. It's all in-house. It's one single integration point. It's one user interface. You have one screen. When you hire a new employee for your warehouse, you have one screen to train them on, not 2 or 3 or 4. Everything's streamlined, one process. It's much cleaner, much better from that perspective. The other big advantages of it is discounted USPS postage. Most StoneEdge users alone would not qualify for the post office's deepest discounts, which is what they used to call commercial plus pricing. They changed the name. Now it's just commercial pricing. But commercial plus pricing was reserved for merchants who are shipping, I believe it was 50,000 packages of the same shipping method every month. So again, most people wouldn't qualify for that. But what we did was we realized a while ago that in aggregate, with all of you guys combined, you're shipping somewhere around 14 million packages every month. So we use that as a bargaining point, and we're able to negotiate rates on behalf of all of you, on behalf of that aggregate shipping volume, and pass that savings on to you guys. A lot of standalone shipping solutions out there advertise that they have discounted USPS postage. A lot of them are splitting the savings with you. So they might get you a 10% discount on a priority mail package, or rather 20% discount on a priority mail package, and give you 10% and keep 10% for themselves. We're not doing that. We're passing on 100% of the savings right to you. Um, the other big advantage of the shipping system, which is a huge cost saver for you guys, is real-time rate shopping. And not just, we're not just um, sending over package information to all the carriers and presenting a rate to you for you to pick and choose. We're actually intelligently selecting a rate for your packer based off of criteria that you've put in the settings of the shipping system. In particular, it's time and transit based. So this day and age where we're all used to going on Amazon and seeing prime shipping and expecting something there in 2 days, we're selecting standard shipping. On your website, what I've seen in the e-commerce industry is people are getting away from letting their customers pick a very specific shipping method. No longer do you see where I can go to a website and pick UPS ground or USPS priority mail or UPS second day air. You're now picking a shipping frequency. So I want expedited or standard or basic or something like that. In StoneEdge, you would tell it what expedited means. So let's say expedited means you need to get that package to the customer in 2 days, and standard might be 5 days, and basic might be 2 weeks, whatever it is. Then StoneEdge will go and rate shop all of the available shipping methods between you and the destination and present the least expensive shipping method that will get the package to the customer within that time frame. And what we're realizing is somebody who is, let's say, shipping from Philadelphia, where we are, to Kentucky, and you have an order for 2-day shipping, well, you might have selected UPS 2-day air because that was a 2-day shipping method. In reality, StoneEdge is now exposing the fact that UPS ground or FedEx ground or USPS priority mail can also get that package to Kentucky in 2 days for a third of the cost. And by making that decision programmatically and taking that decision out of the hands of a warehouse employee, it's proving to have a significant impact on the bottom line of our clients. So it's something I encourage everybody to look into. Other thing is you can create shipments for orders that don't have an order in StoneEdge. So if you need to send a package to your mother, you can do that. She doesn't have to buy it from you. You can just ship her something. We also have tested StoneEdge with a lot of the most commonly used hardware out there, the Fairbanks scales, the Mettler Toledo scales, the current Ultron Zebra thermal printers, barcode scanners, and made sure that they're still working and that we've tested StoneEdge against the latest releases of those. So it's all going to keep working. Shipping insurance, similar to how we negotiated rates based off of our aggregate shipping volume, we've also reached out to a insurance broker who is offering huge savings on shipping insurance. So here's just a couple of examples of some rates. $150 package insured through the post office, you would pay $3.55, and through StoneEdge that would be $1.80. And you can see for $1,000 package, $15.50 versus $9. So there's some serious savings there. I encourage you guys, if you are migrating to 7.7, all you have to do to use it is just check the little insure checkbox next to each shipment, and then you'll get those discounted rates. The insurance broker here that we've partnered with is UPIC. Some of you guys have used them in the past. They have excellent customer service. They handle claims right away. I know UPS, you don't get paid out until the end of the claim. UPIC gives you the benefit of the doubt and pays you out right away. And then they handle getting paid from the carrier on the back end. So that's their job, not yours. So it's a much better experience than trying to deal with the UPS claims process or any of the other carriers. User interface, those of you guys on 5.9, which there's still some scragglers out there on 5.9, if you've used any modern equipment with 4K monitors and these huge monitors that everybody's using now, the view order screen in particular and some of the other screens look like little tiny postage stamps in the corner of those screens. So they were built for 640 by 480 screen resolution, which quite honestly, I haven't seen that in years. So we've taken advantage of the fact that most people are using HD displays, and we're filling more of the screen and taking advantage of the more of that real estate on the screens. We've cleaned up a lot of the design. We're still going through it. We're still working on that. It's an ongoing process, but we have cleaned up much of the UI, and brought more consistency to the design. So when you're going from, I know in the past you could tell which developer wrote which screen in Stone Edge, and that's not so much the case anymore, because we are sort of adopting some consistent design moving forward. So you'll see a lot of these enhancements in design today in the demo, and then you'll see more stuff coming as we go along. If you still have green screens and not primarily blue and gray screens, as you see here, you are on an old version of Stone Edge, and you should seriously think about upgrading. SQL Server enhancements, not too much here. The main thing is we've introduced SQL backups right within Stone Edge, and then SQL archiving. I guess our original thought was that because SQL is essentially unlimited and doesn't get bogged down by large amounts of data, in theory, that there was no need to archive. So we only had that in the access versions of Stone Edge. That's not the case anymore. You can now archive your SQL data. So those orders from 15 years ago, you can get rid of them. SQL backups, we do give you a button to do that. It's nice if you wanted to do a one-off backup. I don't think that this is a substitute for having real incremental scheduled backups done on your server. So if you aren't already doing that, talk to an IT guy, get that set up right away. You need to be doing that. Then finally, miscellaneous enhancements. So error handling, this kind of goes into the UI stuff. So we're doing our best to try to do a better job of trapping errors and handling the errors as they occur, as opposed to just having the whole system crap out and you having to control alt delete out of it and restart and whatnot. We also have error reporting is built in throughout much of the software right now, so that if you opt into that, you see this with Adobe and Microsoft and whatnot. If you do hit an error, you have the option to send that to us. Do not think that you're going to get a call back from that. That's not the same as entering in a support ticket, but that does hit our servers and hit our error logs, and that is reviewed periodically, and we look at, allows us to kind of see from a 10,000-foot view which areas are the most problematic and which areas to work with. We have the ability to edit kit parts and quantities from the multi-record editor. This next one, which I think is a great lifestyle enhancement at the view order screen. When you go to fill back orders, historically, Stone Edge has always filled all back orders that could be filled for that order. Now we let you pick and choose which items get to be filled. And if this is of importance to you, you see why obviously why this is a nice thing to have. Certainly, I've gotten some good feedback on it. At the view inventory screen, you can now view your FIFO data right there. We've also introduced the ability to generate, to integrate tax jar for tax rate calculations. We do not submit transactions to tax jar. Quite honestly, if you're looking for more functionality or better capabilities when it comes to sales tax integration, I'd encourage you to look at Avalara. They're more of a high-end solution anyways. They do tax returns, tax preparation for you as far as your sales tax goes. So they're going to tend to be the more high-end solution. Sales tax or TaxJar is a lower price point solution, so the capabilities there are not as such. So on that note, I'm going to hand the controls over to Steve right now, and he's going to walk you through the shipping system.
And while we get prepared for that, we're going to go ahead and do a poll as well. And we'd love to get everyone's feedback. And please just simply click on the poll. And once you're done, we'll just take that information. So thank you all. All right, a few more seconds here, and then we'll hand it over. Steve, 3, 2. Okay, dokie. Thank you all for participating in that poll. We will have a second one coming around at the end, but Steve, please proceed.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining, everybody. My name is Steve Herbert. I am Senior Application Engineer here at StoneEdge. John mentioned earlier, I have been here with StoneEdge since 2003. So I've been through many iterations of the program. Right now, we are in version 7.7. What you're looking at is the current latest release. This is actually build 7.717 that came out last week. And what I'm going to show you is basic functionality within the shipping system to allow you to rate shop, print international orders, shipping without an order, and several other features. Now, I've already, at this point, if you were to upgrade, what you are seeing now is the 7.7. When you upgrade to this version, if you haven't already done so, you will need a shipping API key, which you can reach out to our sales department to get all set up. So you can opt into the shipping system with that API key. There will be updates to your data, so the upgrade process may take a little bit longer than some standard upgrades, so just be prepared for that. But the customers we've already upgraded at this point, it's a pretty smooth process. I'm just forewarning you that it may take a little bit longer than standard upgrades, just because of those new changes. So the first thing I want to show you is the setup of the process. I'm not going to go into every single feature in the configuration of the shipping system. I just want to show you how to get to it, what it looks like, and the various options that you'll have there. By going to the settings menu, shipping functions, and shipping setup. There are several categories here, areas of configuration that you want to be aware of. You have simple customer, your company information here is configurable. This can be configured as a default throughout the program. You can also configure it per shopping cart. Some customers have different shipping information for each shipping marketplace. You can just default it to use the same company information for all carts. That's what I have set up here. After entering several screens, you will need to click the save button. I just want to show you what this does. This is actually the address validation. You'll see address validation throughout the program. You'll have what shows as the original and revised information. Moving along, there are hardware configurations. These are either workstation based or cart based. The scale functionality carries over from earlier versions. This is workstation based. Labels can be set up on a per shopping cart. It can also be set up for all. If you use the same sort of label for all marketplaces, you can just simply default it. The printer itself, however, is workstation based. So I have mine configured up as a PDF, but you can print ZPL labels. This is through thermal printers. We also have an integrated packing slip option where it would be a full 8.5 by 11 sheet, but with a peel off label. There are several configurations depending on the type of label paper that you may use. You can have a vertical label or a horizontal. Go back to PDF. Your printer information, this is all based off of the printers that are installed on your PC, just how it works now in previous versions of StoneEdge. I'm going to move over to shipping services. What this is doing is loading all of your available services that we have configured via the API connector. You're going to see a lot more in ours because we have a test system. So these are all of the available shippers and their services. But you can see the standard FedEx shipping methods. And if we hop on down, you'll see the standard UPS and USPS methods. So these are what's available. These are what, and you can pick and choose which ones you actually use within StoneEdge. You just move them over into the services in use. Now this isn't mapping, this is just telling StoneEdge which ones we are going to use in the system. You can map, if we move here, we've got 3 sections. My methods, these are shipping methods that are already configured in StoneEdge. These are ones that are already set up and applied to orders. These can be user defined. These are passed in from the shopping cart. These are the shipper services right here in the middle that we saw on the previous screen. The My Methods list, real quick, you can manually add your own. You can edit these, you can delete them. This is completely on your end, however you want to set these up. A couple things to note, there are some features, particularly a customer pickup. If you know you have a method here, a customer actually comes physically to your location to pick up the package. You do have the option to not ship with that method. What that's going to do is prevent any of these orders to appear within the shipping system, so you don't accidentally print a label for that shipment. So we can tell the system, do not ship via that method. You also can configure the system to ship via any of the services that are configured within the system. So for ground and most of these, I'm just going to say, all right, I'm just going to ship no matter what. So this is going to basically tell the system I want to rate shop for everything that's available for that shipment. The other option is to do a one-to-one mapping, or you can do one to several. Basically, you can map these. Let me go back. So you can set several of these. So I'm going to limit my list to just a few of these, or I can tell it to ship via any. We also have, what I was going to say before, is one-to-one. So if you know priority mail, you will only ship priority mail. I only want to print a priority mail label. That's what you can do. It's going to speed up the process. You also have the option to speed it up even further, is you don't really care what the rate is. I know I'm shipping priority mail. I don't care what the rate is. I don't need a rate shop. So that's going to just simply load the, or I'm going to show you this in a minute. It's simply going to load the order and you can spit out a label without even rate shopping. The defaults, this is basically how the shipping form works. A few features that I'm going to show you in a little bit is a shipping handling fee. So this would be a fee that's tacked on to the shipping rate that's returned via the API. You can have a flat dollar amount, or you can set it to a percentage. So either 5% in this case. You can, obviously, this is editable. You can set it to whatever you want. But I'm going to use a flat $5 fee, and I'll show you in a few minutes how that actually works. Here's the insurance that John mentioned earlier. You can request insurance for shipments. You can do it for all of them. I'm going to show you how it works by setting as a declared value of $100 or more. And then the form, actually, shipping system that we're going to get to in a second, works in a couple of different ways, either in search view or in list view. I'll show you both options. There are additional features depending on which option you choose, and I'll show you that in a minute. We also have the option within that system to save your packing data. I'll show you how it works both with and without saving packing. And then further options, these carry over from previous versions of StoneEdge. This is basically your tracking information. This is information provided by the shipper. You can add new methods within the system. You can delete, you can edit these. It's all configurable in the system. So moving on, I'll show you another thing. That settings form is not only available through the menu here. You can get to that from the shipping form, which goes back to what John mentioned in the whole UX upgrades in the system. We're trying to give you as much flexibility on how you can configure the system as you can. So allowing you to access those settings without having to go and dig through a whole list of system parameters. We try to present it to you in a visually appealing way, and it makes it a lot easier. All right, so accessing the shipping, you can do it right here with the Ship My Orders. It's also available in the accordion menu. I have the system configured to run in search mode. Now this works with barcode scanners as you're used to in the current versions, earlier versions of StoneEdge. This will scan the order manager order number on a packing slip or an invoice. I'm just going to manually type it in here. And what it's doing now, take note of the delay here. It's just a couple of seconds. And what that did was load the order. This is actually an international order, but it went out and did the rate shopping. It brought in my items. Quick backup. This is the order that I just loaded. All of your order information, a summary of the charges, your customer information, items right here in the middle with dimensions, weights, and quantities. If you had previous shipments on an order, you can reprint labels, you can void labels. To the right is the brains of the operation, this window right here. This is the full shipping system basically is in this little window. You're going to see this window pop up in several locations throughout the program. I'll show you where you can access this to print shipping labels, to rate shop throughout the program. But that few second delay, not delay, but wait, was loading the order, reaching out through the API to pull in all of the shipping rates. So these are all of the rates available to me to this shipment. You're going to see the service, the rate, and estimated delivery dates, or if it's guaranteed to get there on this date. The system requires the use of dimensions, both weights and actual physical dimensions of packages. You can get around this by, if you don't already have them, you can set up default boxes within the system. You can manually override any of the information here, but you can select certain box dimensions automatically if you don't, like I said, if you don't already have them set up. However, if you do have boxes set up in the system, based on the dimensions of each of the items, it will try to automatically calculate. And this actually does this in earlier versions of StoneEdge. It'll try to calculate and figure out which box to use. So your services, certain services have specific package types. So flat rate envelopes and boxes can all be selected. Signature requirements would be based on a declared value. So if I were, I set mine to be a minimum of 100. So this is obviously all updatable. So I reached my $100 minimum to trigger insurance. So for this package, that's my insurance rate. It's only $1.10 to ship this package, shipping internationally. Any changes you make on this section, you may see this rate straight through. That means this could affect the actual rate of this package. Refreshing that simply goes back out through the API to make sure if any changes are necessary, it will refresh that prior to printing. So this didn't make any changes. So the next step would be simply to print the label. This is an international, so you're going to have your international shipment form open. All of the items, their dimensions, their weights. One thing to note is the value. So this is basing it off of the declared value, which we have of $100. I manually updated that. So you can manually update the values on that international form. However, I just wanted to jump back. That is based on the settings, and here's your settings. You can hop right in. That is based on the settings which you can configure here. My declared value I'm basing off of the item cost. So when you open that international form, it's trying to figure out the cost of all of those items and base that on that information. So like I said, you can manually update this to whatever you want. Because it was highlighted in red, that means, and if I were to try to print this, it's going to tell you products with 0 values are going to be excluded from the shipment. The international shipments require a value in order to be included on the shipment. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So you're going to need to have that value set in there. So once everything is set up, simply confirm it. Now this is going to open up. I have mine configured to PDF just so I could show you the label. If you can see this when it opens, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this because it's opening in a new application. Somebody give me a thumbs up or let me know, John, if you can see this.
No, we can't see it.
All right, so let me see if I can switch it here. just so you can see what that label looks like. That switch?
Yep.
All right, so here's your international label. The first, it's split up into several categories. This is the actual label, your barcode. Obviously, I'm in test mode, but these are all of your items, the quantities, the weights, any kind of descriptions, your tariff codes. All of this information carries forward. You have several pages here. Now, if you were printing through a thermal printer, each of these would be in its own label, a 4x6 label. So you're going to get all of this complete customs information delivered to you. So I'm going to switch back. All right, so I printed that label. It's going to revert back and show you, allow you to enter a new order, to scan or to enter and to ship. What I'm going to show you now. This is the previous shipment screen. So this is that label I just printed. All of your information is available here. The order number, your pickup date, how it was shipped, your cost, the meter rate, and if we scroll further down, here's our declared value as well as insurance. Now, on this screen, you have several options. You can copy that information to the clipboard in case you need to email that to anybody. You can reprint that label. It won't actually generate a new one. It's simply going to reprint. If you happen to have a damaged label for whatever reason, you can reprint everything. You can also void, what I'm going to show you here, voiding that shipment. Because I had insurance, not only did the label get voided, but it was reached out and actually canceled that insurance as well. So two birds, one stone kind of thing there. The other thing I want to show you real quick, if I pull up a domestic order, see how quickly that one loaded? That loaded right away. So I had priority mail. In my settings, I had priority mail set to not worry about rate shopping. So it didn't actually rate shop. As you can see, I have no rates. I have no rate here. I don't care what my rate is, so I can just go ahead and print that label. However, if you're not sure, you're second guessing yourself, you can simply rate shop. Now this is going to take a couple of seconds, reach out to the API, and now I've got not only priority mail, but any other methods that might be available to you on that shipment. So it speeds the process up. You can knock out labels one at a time real quickly if you're not rate shopping, if you know what your method is going to be. So that's basically shipping without packing. I do want to show you the packing system. Again, you can hop right in the settings, turn on packing, and save it. Now, what this is going to do is, if you're going in settings and you're making any changes in here, some of those changes will force a restart of the program, not the program, but the form, because things change in how it functions. So you just simply reopen the form. I'm going to load that order again, and now we're in our packing view. So instead of order view, which you still have access to right up here, you can view the order. You can edit any information here, or hop into the view order screen and make any changes, or you can hop right back into the packing screen. This works with barcode scanners as well. I can just double click as well, or scan it, double click. It's going to load that item, tell you what you're going to pack. I'm going to pack it. As you pack, you can see weights and dimensions automatically calculating over on the right. Pack that. That was the last item. Tell it, all right, I'm done. Because I'm shipping priority mail, it didn't rate shop. And you're on to the next one. Print this label, and you move on to the next order. Easy peasy. One thing I also want to show you. Wrong option. I'm going to just close out of here and go back in. On the search window, not only are they available here, you see these options below, you also have them on the shipping screen themselves over on the right-hand side, as well as the left. I showed you briefly the previous shipment screen. These are all of the shipments that are already within the system. You can reprint all of these. You can void those. You can repack an order that has already been packed. It will simply clear out the packing information, just as it does in earlier versions of the program. This is new to StoneEdge. You can print a shipping label not associated with an order. This allows you can manually enter any customer information. You can also do a search. It loads the customer. You have address validation here. It will validate the address. It also highlight it as green. And then you can simply add all of the shipping information just as you see in the window on the right, your weights, dimensions, the package type. It's going to go out and rate shop, figure out what you need. If you need insurance, it will also include insurance as well. It simply creates a shipping label and a record in your tracking table that isn't associated with any sort of order. So this is good if you're shipping between warehouses or other locations within your business, or just need to print a label for a package that needs to go out. It's right there. End of day reports. So you will have scan reports are available here. This will allow you to print your scan sheets for your shippers. For the post office, USPS, it will generate a single barcode scan sheet with a single scan for your shippers. However, that is not yet available for UPS and FedEx. They will use built-in reports within Access that show all of the shipments as individual barcodes, so they can just run down the sheet and scan. But that will do the same thing. Again, you can hop right into your settings here as well. And that's the basics of the shipping form. Now I want to show you how you can access shipping in a couple other places within the program. One is in processing orders. If you're in your view order screen, and I pull up my favorite little domestic order, shipping, print shipping label. It's going to load the order. It's going to pull it up. All of this information works just as it did in the other screen. You can make any changes. You can rate shop. You can print the label. You can make any changes. It's all done right here, and it's easily accessible. Again, any tracking numbers here you can reprint as well as void and track those shipments as well. This is also available when you're creating a new order. This functions a little bit differently. I'm just going to do this real quick. Load my person. Change that to this guy. Just need to add a line item. And when we hop to the payment tab, here's ship. And you just click the little magnifying glass, opens up the same form. All of the information, this works just like everything else where you've seen this. The only difference is down here under the rate, because I set up that shipping and handling fee, you're going to see the standard rate plus that $5 rate. And the only other difference is instead of printing, this is going to simply select that information. So this is going to assign the shipping service as well as add that shipping fee to the order. So there's that $23.84, and then you can go on. Now, when you approve the order, you can print the shipping label at that time, or you can simply save this information and print it once you're in the process order screen. So that is, in a nutshell, we do have a video that we'll be posting that goes into much more detail on how to set up and configure the shipping system. Shows you a few more tricks in the system that I may not have gotten to here. But that is a quick little run through on the new shipping system. Showed you a few new features and the direction that the UI is going that John mentioned before. We've gotten a lot of feedback. On that note, actually, with feedback, this is important as a developer. If you have a chance to load and use the system, this little yellow light bulb is on many of the new forms. It allows you to give us feedback on each of those features. So if you're in the new 7.7 and you see that little guy, just give us some feedback, what you think. This allows us to make changes if people tell us they want to see certain things or they don't like how this works and we get a consensus. We're developing this for you guys, so you let us know what you think and we will do our best to continually improve StoneEdge and give you the best product that we can. So your feedback is as important to us as our program is to you. So thanks, guys. I'm going to hand things back to John if you want to take over.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
John, while you go through that, I'm going to go through one more poll for today. We want to look at when everyone is looking to implement the 7.7. So we're going to throw that up. Just once again, click through on those, and let's see what we come up with here.
All right, we'll give everybody a couple more seconds to finish answering that poll. In the meantime, I'll get started again. Can everybody see my screen? Am I sharing right now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So a couple of good questions came in just real quick. I know we're not at the Q&A section yet, but to answer your questions, yes, that does this does replace all previously used third-party systems. So UPS World Ship, FedEx Ship Manager, Indicia, ShipWorks, ShipStation, you name it, even the UPS Online Tools that was directly integrated, it has no third-party dependencies. No, you don't have to switch in and out of other systems. It's all built in. Somebody asked about batch printing shipping labels. That screen that we saw at the manual order form and at the shipping form and at view orders, that's also on the approval options window. So where you would normally hit approve and print now or approve and print later, you would get your same shipping options there, and that would throw the shipping label in a batch printing queue. I don't know too many people who, I do know people who do batch print, but usually in a warehouse environment, you're picking and packing on an order by order basis and therefore generating shipping labels as you pack. But I know there are some people who have a valid use case for batch printing, so that's how you would do that. So I don't want to take too much more time, so we're just going to go through these next few slides pretty quickly and then go along. So this also addressed a couple of other questions that were in there. What this is an example of some actual USPS postage savings that you can get out of StoneEdge. I made up a shipment between these two zip codes. This is our King of Prussia address, and that's Beverly Hills, a 3-pound package, and then compared the rates. These are USPS retail rates compared to the rate that you would get in StoneEdge. USPS has a few different rates available, but to compare apples to apples, this is just the straight retail rate that you would get. If you're using Click and Ship, you might get a slight discount on retail, but not the deep discount. Somebody asked about Priority Mail Quebec in the questions. Yes, that is available. So yeah, so you'll see there's substantial savings to be had just in this first example. That 3-pound package shipping it coast to coast would be $20 going Priority Mail Quebec. In StoneEdge, it's $8.42. So that's an $11.50 saving on one package. If you think about, if you extrapolate that out across hundreds or thousands of packages every day or every month, you're now talking about thousands and thousands of dollars of savings by using this new system. Also, looking at time in transit, that scenario that I gave before the demo about using, here's a shipment from King of Prussia to, I believe this is a Kentucky zip code or maybe Tennessee, somewhere around there. But if that customer selected 2-day shipping, you might have by default in the past chosen UPS second day air as the shipping method to send that out on, just because that's a 2-day shipping method. But in reality, StoneEdge is exposing that you can send that package through FedEx Ground for $10.27. It's another huge savings, and your packer who's generating these labels might not have realized that savings. They just associated 2-day shipping method with or 2-day shipping request from your customer to a 2-day shipping method, and that's not necessarily the case. So a lot of this isn't news to you, but if you're having to go and look up rates against everybody every time versus having the software look it up for you and then tell you what to do, It's automatic and more guaranteed, and you don't have to manage and train your staff as much to make sure that they're picking these cost-saving options. And ultimately, your customer doesn't care what label goes on the box as long as they're getting it in 2 days or 3 days or whatever they chose, generally speaking. So let's talk quickly about roadmap. We have a lot of different things on our radar, and we want to talk about some of this. Some of this stuff we've already touched on, and this is just an enhancement of it. So we'll go through this kind of quickly. Payment processing. We talked a lot about how we've had to overhaul a lot of the payment processing to move us past the payment module. We are continuing to explore other enhancements to the payment system. Some of those are Apple Pay and Amazon Pay support. Also, for those of you who use our point of sale system, you know we've been lacking chip card support since it's been around. We're talking with CardKnox or Fidelity Payments, who has a CardKnox service, and currently working on EMV support for that as well. They have a pretty slick system. So more on that. Sales tax compliance, our current Avalara integration, which is what most people use, is built against their SDK. They're pushing us to revamp that against their API, which is their preferred way of integrating. So that's slated to start within the next couple of weeks. TaxJar transactions, and then Accurate Tax is also on the radar. Hasn't really been given a start date yet, but it's there. UI cleanup, as I mentioned, that's an ongoing thing as we continue to go through different areas of the program. We're going to continue to clean up the UI, improve the UX, add better error handling in there and error trapping. We want to get rid of dead integrations. You know, there's cart integrations that are in there and shopping carts that don't even exist anymore, but there's still dozens of system parameters for those systems. And there's still, you know, tables in the database and fields in tables that are related to those things that don't exist anymore. So we're going through and cleaning that stuff up. Shopping cart and marketplace integrations. We're looking at Facebook Marketplace, To Checkout, PrestaShop, Wix and Squarespace for some of the smaller merchants. Those are all on our radar. If there's any other shopping cart integrations that you'd like to see added, let us know. We can do that. We can do that pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. I'm going to skip over that first bullet point and come back to it because marketplace management is tied in with shopping cart integrations. We are actively developing right now a marketplace management system. This is going to better tie in. Initially, the development is focused on Amazon, but it's going to give you the ability to do a lot with Amazon. Basically replace a lot of the functionality that you go into Seller Central for right now, but primarily Amazon listings and delistings. So you'll be able to click a button and list a product on Amazon. You'll be able to look up ASINs and look through lists of products based off of keywords of your own product data, like item name and SKU and whatnot, and UPC, to try to find a matching ASIN on Amazon, and then assign that ASIN to your local inventory to create the listing. We're building out dynamic repricing and then real-time price syncing. Real-time price syncing, we're going to see that show up for all sales channels, just not marketplaces. Real-time price syncing, what that means is kind of like how we sync quantity on hand right now with different shopping cart systems. We'll allow you to assign a price level to a specific sales channel, and then whenever that price level changes in StoneEdge, either by you manually changing that price at view inventory, or however means you might be updating your price catalog, we'll sync those price changes up to your cart automatically in real time. So that will allow you to have different prices on different sales channels. But the dynamic pricing is something that you've become accustomed to with some of these Amazon dynamic pricing tools that are out there. We're just going to add the criteria right into StoneEdge about like your minimum price floor and who you're selling against and which competitors you want to price against and whatnot, and do that. And then to the shipping integration, we're also adding the ability to print Amazon provided shipping labels as well. So, as you know, Amazon requires you to ship a certain percentage of or to buy a certain percentage of your postage from there. Warehouse management, I've talked to a few of you guys about warehouse management. We've also built integrations, and this did not make it onto our new features list. It was an oversight of mine, but we have written integrations to some third-party WMSs recently. And a lot of you guys are not huge. You can't justify the $100,000 or $500,000 price tag to get a full-blown WMS installed. So we're looking at adding some lightweight WMS capabilities, primarily around automated order batching and pick list generation, directed put away, cycle counting, some of the basic stuff. The requirements that we developed would include the ability to create pick carts and define the weights and dimensions of pick carts, and how many orders can be picked to a pick cart, and the slottage on carts, and then segmenting out batches of orders and then sorting the items on those batches of orders into an optimized pick path, and then sending your picker through the warehouse with the pick cart to pick orders, 2 slots on that pick cart, blah, 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 blah. If you're familiar with WMS, you're familiar with all that terminology. If you're not, let's have a conversation. We can talk about how this might fit in with what you're doing right now. Some exciting stuff. We actually have mostly finished the development of. We're actually just wrapping up some testing right now on an auto updater. We should be rolling this out in the next few weeks. The auto updater, basically, right now, as you guys know, if you need to install a new version of StoneEdge going from 7.716 to 7.717, you go to our download site, you download an entirely new executable file and reinstall everything. And that wipes out your customizations. That just creates a hassle for a lot of people. And a lot of times the only difference between one minor point release and another might be that we changed a few lines of code in one module. So the auto updater will allow us to publish a single major release and then push down just the code that changed between point releases. So we'll be able to push down just certain modules and forms and queries and whatnot that are used. So you won't lose your customizations and whatnot. We're also rebuilding a stack controller. The stack controller will be a new standalone stack controller, a proper C#.NET application that will be installed as a Windows service. It'll talk directly to your data file and look for any posts that need to go out to the web. This again ties into the overhaul of the shopping cart integrations and the marketplace integrations and moving those things to the cloud. The new stack controller will allow us to start introducing some asynchronous communications with web services. So the stack controller will not just post, but it will receive updates from the web as well, and those updates will trigger actions to happen within StoneEdge. Part of that stack controller that we're looking at doing also is also overhauling the communications in StoneEdge. Currently, StoneEdge, to send an email, for example, it builds out what the email looks like and then opens up a connection to your SMTP server and sends that email one at a time. Closes the connection, opens up another connection, sends one email. It's slow, it's error prone, it can't recover if it fails. There's a lot of problems with it. So we're looking at tying in with SendGrid, which is an email service. They have all of the blacklisting issues covered, so you're not going to show up in people's spam folders. They removed SMTP communications from the mix and made it all API based. So that'll seriously speed up email communications out of StoneEdge. And then as part of that, we've also redeveloped the email template editor to allow you to build an SMS message for each, to go along with each email template. So not only can your customers get an email that their order is shipped, they can now get a text message showing that their order has shipped as well. So this is stuff that we're all looking for. I want to talk to you guys about sort of how we get these things off the ground. A lot of the stuff, this is all stuff that it's either in development or is scheduled to be developed, or stuff that is just on the horizon or on our radar of stuff that we want to develop it. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if any of this stuff sounds interesting to you, please reach out to us and let us know. We'd like to work with you on helping us bring these new features to fruition and bring you into the design process, make sure that we're getting it right the first time. In doing that, we can reward you with some discounted pricing for when it does become available. And obviously let you have that input on the design process itself and the development process. So that's that. So for the sake of not running on too much longer, we've gone a little over an hour. I'm going to wrap this up. I do have one more thing, real quick, one more slide here. Stay connected with us. We have a Google group that we're using now as our user forum. It's been around for a few years. If you go to stoneedge.com, click on support and then user forum, you can link to, that'll take you right there. You can sign up there, post, sometimes we respond, sometimes other users respond. But we want to sort of encourage that Stone Edge community as much as possible. A lot of times you guys have better answers than we do because you guys are doing it. You're on the front lines doing it. So with that said, if there's any questions, I believe Mike and Kevin have been sort of fielding some questions that are coming into the QA window. And Mike, if you want to present some of those, we can try to address them here.
Yeah, John, let's see what we have here. I'm going to go through here and try to pull some of these up and get a few of these answered. Okay, so John, for the SMS, is this an extra fee?
Yes, it will be. These are all services. These are commercial services that we're leveraging to offer this service. So yes, there will be a fee, a third-party fee involved to send SMS messages, and also the API based SendGrid. I just disclosed who we're going to be going through. It'll be through there. We're going to try to discount it. Those guys all have tiered pricing, and much like if you went to SendGrid and you could look at their pricing, it's right on their website. We would be buying the highest tiered price level and be able to pass some of those discounts along to you. So whatever your volume is, if you're buying a API access that gives you 5,000 emails a month, we'd be buying the version for 5 million emails a month and passing those savings along. So yeah, there will be a fee for it just because it's not free to offer those. But we're going to try to make it as cost effective as possible.
Great. Here's a great question. If I need help with my install or am interested in professional services, how does that work?
Okay. So yeah, a lot of you guys can go through the install yourselves of 7.7. If you don't want to do it, I understand. We can do that for you. A lot of you guys are busy enough running your businesses to be worried about upgrading your software. If you want to do that, reach out to us. Mike or Eric can help you with that. Generally, I would say we'd approach it one of two different ways. One is doing a single install to get the database upgraded, and then to get the shipping set up, get PCI mode set up, get whatever new features you need set up, show you how to use it, and then leave it to you to go back and install the software on every individual workstation. If you want full-blown white glove service, we can do that as well. Depending on how many workstations, that can be several hours or several days. Really depends. If you have 100 workstations, it's going to be a much bigger task than somebody with 10 workstations, obviously. But I'd say that's going to be unique to you. So reach out to us, and we can put something together for you.
Okay, great. And last one, I'm going to throw it out here. Is there a 7.7 manual or the equivalent? And where can I go to find answers around certain technical? Where can I go to find the answers? So I believe they're looking for like a knowledge base, John, here.
We do have, this is Steve here, we do have the online knowledge, but it looks like John just pulled it up, yeah.
Okay. Do have the online knowledge base with the step-by-step instructions, how to walk through things. So always go in and look around in here. And this is located on the Stone Edge website.
Yes. Sorry, I had myself muted there. This is stoneedge.com/KB. You can go to step-by-step instructions shipping, and then you'll see very detailed documentation that will take you through every section of the shipping setup, for example. We have other things covered there. It's all been there. It's all been cleaned up and rewritten in the new knowledge base. As Steve mentioned, if you go to our YouTube channel, we have a training video that takes you, it's about 20 minutes long, and walks you through the setup of the shipping system and then shows you how to use it as well. So we've tried to put as much self-help stuff out there for you guys. You can get to the YouTube video through our Google group, and I will post a link to it up here as well, right here in the shipping step-by-step instructions, so you guys have it.
And John, just to kind of reiterate, we will be sending out a copy of today's webinar and today's call so that if you want to go back and review it to ensure that we didn't miss anything, or you need to send it out to someone else in your company or your department, you'll be able to share this information accordingly. And please, you know, along with our LinkedIn, our YouTube, and our Facebook and our group forum, we are going to be continuing to try to bring strong content to the customer base that's going to help to educate and give us an opportunity to learn more about what it is that you all want from Stone Edge as customers. So thank you all for attending. John, do you have any final words here?
I do not. We'll end the presentation now. For those guys who have any unanswered questions, we'll stick around and answer those through the Q&A section as well. If we don't get to your question, it's just for the sake of time. Feel free to reach out to us through support or sales, whatever's appropriate, and we can help you with that. So I appreciate everybody's time today and look forward to communicating with you some more in the near future.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.